who is involved with the authorizations for that type of subpoena? It's your team, it's public integrity, any other Justice Department component?
I cannot speak to that before I was special counsel. I can say that when I was special counsel, I was the person who approved subpoenas of that nature.
Okay.
And with, of course, the fact that I wanted consultation with public integrity.
Okay. So that was the universe of DOJ authorization. It was you and public integrity. You didn't have to go to the DAG. You didn't have to go to OLC, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. When the subpoena was served for certain members of the Judiciary Committee, it was served by an official at the Department of Justice's Inspector General, which, from our point of view, raises a conflict of interest. I mean, the Inspector General is supposed to be conducting oversight, if necessary, of department components. Certainly, if department components are being real aggressive with members of Congress, we might want the IG to conduct a probe of that, right? But if the IG's on your team and they're doing this with you, that presents a problem for us. And so the question is, why was the IG's office serving these subpoenas? Why were they, they went in, I know it was before you were the special counsel, but they went on the Perry search. They took his phone and then they imaged his phone. I mean, the IG here is just like a regular part of the team. Can you explain why that happened?
Yes, with the understanding that I obviously wasn't in that decision chain because I wasn't involved in the case, but my understanding is that the Jeffrey Clark component of this investigation, he was a Department of Justice employee during the period of time that we were, and my predecessors were investigating this, and it's my understanding that is why they were involved in the investigation.
But, understood, but why, when it comes to members of Congress, didn't, like, I don't understand, like, yeah, I understand they had the Jeffrey Clark investigation going on, but when it comes to members of Congress, I mean, the IG has a special, relationship with Congress. Why are they allowed to be involved?
Again, all I can tell you is what I just told you. This was before my time, but my understanding about why it occurred is because they were involved in that aspect of the investigation.
Okay. And were they involved after you became the special counsel? Were they involved in serving toll record subpoenas related to members of Congress, to your knowledge?
My recollection is that they may still have been involved. My primary dealings were with the FBI, but they may well have stayed as part of the investigation. I didn't have a lot of interaction with them.
Okay. And when some of these toll record subpoenas were served by the IG's office, do you know whether they knew they were serving toll record subpoenas relating to a member of Congress?
Are you talking about in the period of time when I was special counsel or before?
When you were the special counsel.
Okay. As I sit here, just to be clear, I'm not aware, I don't recollect that people in the DOJ Inspector General's office were serving subpoenas during my time.
Okay.
Could well be. I just don't have recollection of that.
Okay. I can represent to you that they did serve subpoenas before your time. I mean, they served one in May of 2022 relating to the chairman of the committee.
Yeah, and as I said, before my time, I can't speak to that because I was in Europe. I wasn't in the investigation.
But after you became, after you were appointed, that wasn't occurring to the best of your knowledge?
I just don't have a recollection of that.
Okay.
But I want to just to be clear, I'm not sure in my role I would know which individual agent was serving a subpoena, so that's not something I would have necessarily known in the first place. Just I wanted to make that clear.
Fair enough, but if it was from the IG's office, wouldn't that raise like an issue?
I'm just saying to you, in my role, I was not like directing which agent would serve which subpoena.
Okay. Did you have interactions with the IG's office on the Jeff Clark matter?
I can't think of any now, but I don't want to say that it may have been possible I did, but as I sit here now, I can't think of any.
I mean, were they a part of the team after you were appointed?
That's what I said earlier. My recollection is that they were.
Okay. With the toll record subpoenas for the senators, one of the lines requested was a Senate landline. Did you know about that?
I don't recall knowing about any particular lines. My role, as I saw it, was to understand who my prosecutors thought we should be getting toll records for, to make sure we had a basis for that under the statute, a reasonable basis. I don't recall discussions about how they figured out what lines we would be going for.
Because at least in the House, you know, if you place a call from a landline in the House, it goes out scrambled. So, you know, to the extent DOJ thinks they have the right number, it's, you know, it would be scrambled. And so it's just raises questions as to why the office would subpoena toll records for a Senate landline. And you don't have any additional information or recollections on that?
I really don't.
Okay. There was some litigation with AT&T over the subpoenas for the Senate lines. Do you have any recollection of that?
Was it litigation, or I know I saw, or I was shown that there was a letter that from AT&T to Senator Grassley. I don't recall any litigation.
Okay. Maybe litigation was the wrong word, but AT&T, I guess, pushed back on the toll record subpoena. And according to them, after they pushed back and said they weren't comfortable producing the records, the special counsel's office stood down. Do you have any recollections from that?
I don't have any recollection of that.
Okay. You know, and essentially AT&T represented, at least to Senator Grassley's office, that you know, after they said no, we're not going to give you those records, your office didn't press the matter further, which raises the question why. But your testimony is you don't have any recollection of that.
I don't have any recollection of it. I also don't know from the letter what the reason they gave for not giving it, but I don't have a memory of any of this.
Okay. You know, to the extent members of Congress and senators are up in arms that this happened to them and they're seeking accountability, you know, who should be held accountable for answering these questions?
Well, I think who should be accountable for this is Donald Trump. These records are people, in the case of the senators, Donald Trump directed his co-conspirators to call these people to further delay the proceedings. He chose to do that. If Donald Trump had chosen to call a number of Democratic senators, we would have got toll records for a number of Democratic senators. So responsibility for why these records, why we collected them, that lies with Donald Trump.
Well, I understand that's your perspective, but in terms of there are calls from United States senators to impeach Judge Boasberg because he signed this NDO order. We've asked you questions, you know, for a good bit now about whether your office should have taken additional steps. So it's either your office, you know, the judge, the carrier. In your view, who needs to be held to account on these toll record subpoenas?
Well, I don't, certainly my office did everything consistent with the law and department regulations at the time. As I think we referenced earlier this morning, the department regulations on this, since we issued these toll records, has changed. If I believe now, and I believe this is in 2024, if we were to make an NDO application to a judge, we would need to identify if they were members of Congress. And so to the extent you think something needs to be changed, that change happened, but that was not required at the time that we issued these subpoenas.
Okay.
Sort of begs the point there, doesn't it? Don't you think? Sort of begs the point, like, it makes the point, like, maybe that should have been the standard, it should have been a burden on the prosecution to actually give that information to the carriers. Would you agree?
No, as I said earlier, I think we followed the regulations that they existed at the time. If the regulations that are now in effect were in effect then, we would have followed those regulations.
I just want to circle back for a second. Who first contacted you about taking the position of special counsel?
Marshall Miller,
Same guy you reached out to early on
correct.
and said you'd be interested in the right position. So when did he call you?
It was some point, I told you earlier, there was this initial conversation where I said.
Understand that.
Right. Some point after that, he contacted me about ultimately the position that I ended up having.
Okay, and I'm trying to find out when that was, because you called him when he took the job in the summer of '22, which is before President Trump announces he's running for president, before you get appointed by the Attorney General. I want to know when you talked to Mr. Miller the second time, or the third time, or how many times did you talk to him?
Between the time that I originally reached out to Marshall Miller and the time that I was appointed as special counsel, I spoke to Marshall Miller several times.
Several times, okay. And then he's the one who first asked you, would you be interested in being the special counsel, is that right?
I don't remember how he phrased it, but my recollection, to the extent I have one, is it was not phrased in terms of being the special counsel. I think it was in terms of being involved in these
Okay.
investigations.
And again, when was that?
I'm having trouble recollecting. It definitely was after he first reached out to me.
Wait. I thought you called him first.
I'm sorry, you're right.
Okay.
After I first reached out to him, we had multiple conversations between then and when I was
In the
appointed.
summer of '22, when he takes the position as number 3 guy in Justice Department, and between November 18th, 2022, when you get named, you had multiple discussions, multiple conversations.
Yes, I just also to be clear, not all of those conversations were about this position.
I'm not saying you were, there's
Okay.
multiple conversations. Did he ask you to, did he talk about special counsel position, the one you took, prior to the Attorney General asking you to take the job? I thought he said yes to that earlier. but
Yeah,
I just wanted to
what I'm trying to remember is, my recollection, and it is a little vague, is that the idea that working on these cases would be in the format of being a special counsel, my recollection, and it's imperfect, is that was very shortly
Okay, so
before
what
I
did he
was
say?
appointed.
Did he talk about Arctic frost? Did he talk about plasma gecko? Did he talk about these investigations?